Greetings, one and all. I've had a lot of messages recently about people struggling to sleep, and I thought they meant struggling in just going through everyday life, but it turns out it means actually sleep, sleepy by sleep. And I've often discussed this with people over the years as well, actually. I'm shocked at how people can't get to sleep. And there are lots of different exercises of how to go to sleep. One of them is the recall of your day just before you go to sleep. You've done all your whatever you do before you go to bed, and you're lying in bed, and then from the moment you've got into bed, you recall your day, but you do it backwards, but you don't have any attachments to it. It also helps with your for when you die, of having the recall of your whole life when we die. It helps sort out that and lessens that a bit, and helps with the karma implications that comes with that. But by doing this backwards recall of your day, which hopefully you'll get to the moment you got up in the morning. I myself very rarely finish it. I'm normally asleep. It does send me to sleep. You're not supposed to get attached to any of the things you're looking at as you do this recall of the day. You're just meant to just observe it and let it go backwards. What you did getting into bed and what you did before you got into bed. Did you read a book or whatever? Or, for example, go for a walk, go and have a cup of tea or something. You're doing it all backwards. What you did in the evening, up to if you have your evening tea, eating that, and then what you did in the afternoon, then what you had for lunch, what you did for lunch, backwards in the morning, what you did through the morning, up to, like I say, the moment of waking up. I don't know many people that do manage to do the whole day in their recall. Many of us have a little giggle about how it puts us to sleep. Maybe we continue doing it in our sleep, I don't know. But that's one way to get to sleep at night when you're going to bed. Another way is to just stare at something on the ceiling. Perhaps get a little yellow dot or something that you can put up there, or one of those glow lights that glow stars that you can put. I haven't got one near me. I have loads of them everywhere. When you turn the lights out, you can stick these stars or planets on your wall or your ceiling, and it just glows for a little while until all the darkness, it fades out. And just stare at that and don't take your eyes off it. That will help you go to sleep. I don't know if the counting sheep method works. I've never tried it. I myself am very lucky in that I can just, once I go to bed, normally I put my head on the pillow. Like I say, I start doing my recall of the day and I'm normally out pretty quickly. But then I started asking these people, and one of them had emailed this week, and another one had been saying this on and off on Messenger for the last few months, even though I've said to them, I know the reason why they're not sleeping, and I'm going to give you that reason and why many other people don't sleep at night. It's called the mobile phone. If you have your mobile phone next to you at bed, all the radiations from the phone are coming out into you and keeping you awake. These phones are dangerous stuff to have near us all the time. You shouldn't make phone calls with it to your ear. I always put my phone on speakerphone and have it over there, or not over there, but there, close by. I never put the phone near my head. It pumps out certain radiations. Now, people come back to me with, but it's my alarm clock. Well, my answer to that is go and buy an alarm clock. You can get all kinds of alarm clocks these days, electronic ones that you just plug in, they're all right. As long as they're not Wi-Fi ones. Old style of the old wind up with the bell on it. You can get ones with batteries. I have a lovely little pyramid one that's run by batteries that has no radiation coming off it at all. And I have it by my bed. It doesn't affect me in any way. The forces that are coming through our phones and our laptops shouldn't have a router on in your bedroom. Another thing not to do before you go to sleep is to sit in bed looking at your laptop, because your mind is saying to you, oh, I'm doing things, so I'm not relaxing. I'm treating it like, your study or your living room or something where you should be working. Shouldn't be doing any kind of work in your bed. Perhaps read a nice little book, that's fine. Something that's not too strenuous on the mind, because you're trying to unwind in your bed. You're trying to unwind your body and your mind. So having these mobile phones near you when you're going to bed is not good. And using them as an alarm clock is, to me, not a good enough excuse. You know, you don't get other alarm clock that's not got Wi-Fi attached to it. I went to a conference and we were discussing all the effects of mobile phones and radiation on us. I have worked with children over the years, worked in the parks for many years, and used to be stunned at how a parent wanted to shut their child up just by giving them their phone so they could watch a little video on it. Okay, that's okay for now and then. But people are addicted to their phones, as we know. It is a black mirror that tempts us in, that black mirror that makes us look at it and go, sucks us in. And there's a lot of concern about what it's doing to the children of today. I hear reports that the alpha generation, the 17, 18-year-olds of today, don't really use smartphones, which is great if that's what's happening. I think they're aware of what it does to them and are going back to the old style phones that you had. I forgot what you call them. Still a mobile phone, but a fold one, or just a, you know, the old standard one, which doesn't have any Wi-Fi on it, and you just text and phone on it, which is great that if they are doing that. But I used to notice how it affects children. I grew up in an area where we had the giant, like, electricity cables going across everybody's houses, and we had one of those great big monstrous triangle type constructions on the corner of the field, and there was all these talks of children getting well, they were getting cancer and or certain illnesses, and that it got taken down in the end because they realized it was affecting people's health. And then there are also many schools in my area where they don't allow that kind of thing to be built near it. And I know that there are reports of people realizing that, oh, this radiation and electricity is affecting people and making people ill. And there are ways to fight that through the lobbying and such like. But I wanted to read some of what I got today from this conference that I went to. And they're talking about that in 2000, the UK government had a report about mobile phones and health. And they said, quote, "We believe that the widespread use of mobile phones by children for non-essential calls should be discouraged." That was 2000. Obviously now they're not just making phone calls, they're watching videos on it, playing games on it. You know, I come home on the trains or the tubes, I count how many people are actually reading a book, normally less than how many fingers I have on my hand, and everybody's playing games. There used to be a phase of I used to catch people watching pornography. Very naughty to do that in public, sitting on a train watching pornography. What's wrong with you? But people, I see some people do actually read their Kindles or read books on their phones, because you can do all that now. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, reading it on your phone. I personally cannot take in properly PDFs from computers or from phones. I know I don't register what I'm reading. I really need paper or a book, and I register with it much more, you know, make sure I take that content in. Whereas with a phone or a PDF that's sent to me, which many people send me PDFs, very nice of you, I try and read them. What I normally do is I will go and find someone who's got a printer and print it out and then read it as a paper thing. And I know it's not just me, I've spoken to other people about this, but maybe you can read PDFs and you can take them in. I don't know, you know, you're all individuals. But various governments of various countries are beginning to realize that mobile phones, finally realize, are not good for children. Of course they're not good for children. There's many different countries now not allowing mobile phones in schools. Very good. In 2015, there was a French law that was passed which bans Wi-Fi in nursery schools and exposure to Wi-Fi to be reduced in primary schools. And there are all these reports of teachers realizing that all this Wi-Fi is making them ill. If it's making adults ill, what is it doing to the bodies of the little ones? And then in 2018, so that was 2015 French law. In 2018, the French law banned mobile use by children in all primary and middle schools, including on breaks. And I did hear that there was a real problem with teenagers and slightly older children giving up their phones. They were having like phone withdrawal. And there was this thing about how they had problems with their thumbs because they're constantly, it has an effect on your physical body going like this all the time on your phone. And like I say, that black mirror is addictive. So they're having withdrawals from their mobile phones. That's awful. In May 2023, the US Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, backed by multiple leading figures in US healthcare, issues an advisory cautioning about health effects of social media on the mental health of young people. I'm sure many of you know that when we check our phones and we're checking our Facebook and checking whatever we put up on social media, we get a little serotonin hit when we get a like or someone's made a comment, a nice happy comment or shared it. It makes us feel good, which is quite amazing, really, isn't it? But then when we get a thumbs down or a derogatory comment or trolls, it makes us feel, puts bad energy into us. I get a few trolls on YouTube. I think it's quite funny. I try to have a conversation with them. I find out that most of them end up being probably bots and they're not humans at all, which is even more hilarious that bots want to troll me. But I'm happy to engage with anybody, really. In Ireland, in an initiative called in Greystones, It Takes a Village, parents acting in community to prevent their primary school age children from having smartphones. By acting in community, individual children need not feel like the odd one out. It prevented them from having a smartphone. So this is all about, that one child that doesn't have a smartphone feels left out. But if we make sure that nobody's got a smartphone at school, then everyone's feeling in the same way. Okay, everybody, all the children want to be the same as each other, but if we can encourage them instead to play, learn, walk, talk with each other rather than being sat in the corner on their smartphone. It used to make me laugh that people would text each other across the room and things like that. It's weird that it's kind of isolating in some way, even though it's also trying to bring people together, messaging and such like. But if we can stop them having it at a younger age, then maybe they will learn how to be a human and act with other humans. And this Takes a Village initiative about, stopping young children having smartphones at school or in groups or societies and such like, that started spreading to other towns because they saw how it made the children, it was better for the children. The children became more lively again and acted like children. In Russia, in December 2023, mobile phones were banned in classes. They were concerned with effects of electromagnetic radiation on pupils. And that's what I'm talking about with this electromagnetic radiation. This coming from your phone that's lying on your bedside cabinet next to your bed when you're asleep. It's probably not doing you any good whatsoever. The Netherlands bans pupils from using mobiles in school, again, including during break times. And the Swedish government has pulled back on digital technology in schools with a new emphasis on traditional methods in learning. I've had friends of mine who have teenagers at school telling me how they have to do all their homework online. How awful. You're not remembering things when you're learning off a computer screen or just inputting it in the keyboard. Writing with a pen and paper, pencil even better, makes things stay in your head, in your memory. Whereas looking at mobile phones or computers for information, we're just getting little snippets that just stay in our heads, but not the whole process of what it is we're trying to learn. What else was there? May 2024, the UK Government House of Commons Education Committee publishes a strongly critical report entitled Screen Time Impacts on Education and Wellbeing. And this screen time that was done by the House is of Commons Education Committee will hopefully start the plan that in England they shouldn't be having mobile phones in schools. In Australia, in September 2024, the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, announces that children will be banned from using social media with the lower age limit to be decided between 14 to 16 years old. And in September 2024, the Smartphone Free Childhood campaign has attracted more than 1,000 mums and dads in Gloucestershire to sign up to a pact to withhold smartphones from children until they are 14 years old. Now, I know you're not all children, you're adults. You should know when to use your mobile phone. And I suppose I'm making this film because these people were getting in touch saying they're having trouble sleeping, and then I find out they had their mobile phones by their beds. I know it will make a difference if they don't have that mobile phone by their head. We don't want that electromagnetic radiation going into you whilst you're sleeping. And I do recommend that you put your phones on speakerphone when you're making phone calls. I'm really not sure how it works when you've got headphones in and you're taking a phone call, because I suppose you're speaking into a speaker. Maybe that phone's not near you then. I don't know. I can't really comment on that. But we should be aware of what this electromagnetic electricity is doing to us, these vibrations that are coming out from these computers and other technological devices. And I know people find it difficult to switch them off. I live in a house, I'm in a shared house, so our router is down in a hallway, it's not in anyone's bedroom, but we can't switch it off because it's a shared house and some people work nights and some people work days, blah, blah, blah. So the router's on all the time, but it's in the hallway. I make sure my laptop's off at night, I make sure my phone's off at night, and I don't have them near the bed at all. I try not to keep my phones in my pocket. I don't think these phones should be near us. And I see so many people with them in their back pocket. I don't know what that's doing to their certain glands that they had down there. Or people keep it in their pocket up here in their shirt. Though I did have one friend who went to flush the toilet and bent over and the phone fell out of his shirt. That was hilarious, and went straight down into the toilet, obviously. These things we need because they are handy to have a phone and to be able to contact people, and texting is great. I love having a little text with someone, but normally now if we start texting, one of us ends up phoning the other, because it's much better to have a conversation speaking with our words, with our voices, rather than reading text, which can be unless you're hearing the text in someone's voice. It's like listening to a book written by someone. If you know how they speak, you can hear them reading that book they've written or the letter they've written. I have a lot of pen pals. I like writing letters. We started doing that quite a few years ago because we realized that emails were a bit impersonal. Though I do recommend, I often say to you all, if you want to get in touch, do email me. If you want to become a pen pal, even better. I love writing to people. I think letters are much more fulfilling, and I love getting letters myself. I'm happy to do that as well, especially if it's from abroad. I can send post abroad. There's something different to reading a letter from somebody than reading an email that everything's shortened in. Anyway, that's what I want to do a little show about. This is why many of you are not sleeping, and it's something that comes up a lot with different people. And it was funny when me and one young lady were chatting, and I realized that she didn't mean how to wake up when I'm talking about sleep in the Gurdjieff work, but she meant bye, Betty bye sleep. That was quite a funny conversation. But I hope you all sleep well and have sweet dreams. And obviously having our sleep is good and healthy for us. We need to sleep comfortably. And also by doing that roll call I was telling you about, you're taking it out of your subconscious, and then your subconscious, most of that you dream is your subconscious coming up with things that have happened in the last 3 days and mixing it all up and turning it all into dreams and nightmares or whatever. By doing that roll call, you're stopping what I call the useless dreams, because it's just your subconscious reminding you of things that happened in the last 3 days. But it lets hopefully proper dreams come through. So thank you all, one and all. Appreciate your messages and your emails and the thank you buttons. Thank you those that press the thank you button, much appreciated. Until next time, peace and out.